Congressman Wexler, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Why don't you go ahead and just start off by telling us about your about the proposal you're making, the Skill Game Protection Act.
Sure. In my view, poker is a game of skill, and in effect, it's a national pastime in America, just the same way baseball is. And Congress did what I thought was a very unhelpful, extraordinarily bad thing, which was to outlaw, to prohibit the playing of poker online. In effect, it's another form of prohibition, just like we tried with alcohol a long time ago. Didn't work with any success. And now people are understanding across the country that for decades, for centuries in America, we've been playing poker at kitchen tables, dining room tables, in the White House, in the Congress. But in the 21st century, where the means of communication and the means of conducting commerce is the Internet, we no longer can play poker on the Internet. So I've filed legislation which would exempt out games of skill, such as poker, chess, mahjong, but primarily poker is the focus. And what we're saying is Americans, adults, have the right to do as they please in a way that doesn't infringe upon anyone else's rights. But Congress has said otherwise, and I'm trying to fix that. We've got protections to prevent underage gamblers from participating. Nobody wants teenagers being involved in these type of things. We have protections using technology to prevent different kinds of financial mobsters from trying to use this type of thing to do it in a way that we're not interested in. And so with that, the bottom line is we think Americans, law-abiding Americans, if they want to, adults, play poker on the Internet, they should be able to. And why would Congress say otherwise?
I'm sure a lot of poker players agree with that. Now, what is the status of the bill right now?
The bill is at the hearing stage in the House of Representatives. The good news is that the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, Congressman Barney Frank, is a proponent of changing the existing law. He thinks what Congress did several months ago was not the correct thing to do. And what Congress did, so people understand, is the prohibition on poker on the Internet was in effect attached to a port security bill. Port security, which is so important in our country, particularly after 9/11, there were some people for moralistic reasons, for ethical reasons, all of which I disagree with fundamentally, in the dead of the night attached this legislation, which became law, which prohibited law-abiding Americans from playing poker on the Internet. I'm a part of the effort. I drafted the bill, filed the legislation that would undo that prohibition. And the really sad effect of the bill, one of it, is that now what's happening is people who want to play poker on the Internet, they go to offshore sites. So they go to sites that are not protected, where they're endangering their credit cards and their financial transactions and so forth. And underage people can do it there. And money laundering occurs there. All of the protections that we've made a part of my legislation is in effect being now pushed aside, and people are conducting that kind of behavior on Caribbean websites, European websites, Russian websites. And what we're saying is bring it back to America and let Americans in the privacy of their home, wherever it is they wish, to play poker. And the thing about poker, of course, is that it's not a game where, like a casino, where there's a third-party host or something of that nature. It's just people playing against people. And why would we want to do anything other than respect people's privacy and enable them to do that on the Internet?
Obviously, poker players feel that poker is a game of skill rather than chance, and obviously you're saying that that's the reason why you're proposing this bill. What would you say to those people who just don't feel like poker is a game of skill and rather it's just gambling and it's just by chance?
Well, they don't play poker then.
And they don't understand.
That's right. It's irrational to suggest that poker is anything other than a game of skill. It's a game of skill just like chess is a game of skill. just like Mahjong is a game of skill, just like bridge is a game of skill. Obviously, there's an element of chance in the context of poker, but it is a game of skill. We have the World Series of Poker, where people pay a very significant amount of money to compete in the game of poker, and we choose the best poker players based on their skill. What's really extraordinary, which I learned here this week, is that people, Americans now, are watching poker on television more than they watch college football, more than they watch professional basketball. Only NFL football and NASCAR racing has a bigger audience on American television than poker. So when put in that context, bigger than college football, bigger than NBA basketball, bigger than baseball. It's insanity that we prevent Americans who wish to play poker on the internet.
So are you saying that since this is such a big game in the United States, it could be an American pastime, and we should accept the game and regulate it to make sure that everything's safe, especially?
Yeah, it's really not debatable. Poker is a pastime. Millions of Americans have been playing poker for centuries. Presidents have played poker in the White House. Members of Congress play poker in the Congress. People play poker at kitchen tables all across America, dining room tables all across America. They've been doing so for a long, long time. Now we have the internet. So why allow horse betting, which we allow on the internet? Lotteries conduct business on the internet. Why not poker?
And you also said that the U.S. government could benefit by taxing and regulating. How so?
Well, the benefit of enabling people to play poker, adults to play poker on the internet, is that all of the transactions, all of the games, all of the wagering are then there to be scrutinized. And you will then have proper financial transactions, you'll have records, and where taxes are due, they will be paid. So that seems to be the fairest and most appropriate way of conducting this type of business.
And you're proposing that the U.S. government tax online sites, but not from the players, right?
Yeah, I think that is something that can be worked out over time. What I think needs to happen first and foremost is we need to undo the prohibition that is in current law. And what we have now is a situation where playing poker on the internet is illegal. And I don't think we ought to be criminalizing poker playing on the internet.
What is the main opposition to your bill?
Well, some of the people who passed the bill, I guess, have a moral objection, an ethical objection to gambling, although apparently they don't morally or ethically object to lottery gambling or horse track gambling. But poker, for whatever reason, seems to rub them the wrong way. What I would respectfully suggest to those people is we have a war in Iraq that we really need to take care of. We have a war against terror, against Al-Qaeda, our real enemy. We need to take care of that. We've got shortfalls in Medicare and Medicaid. We have to shore up Social Security. We have an education crisis in America. The Congress has a whole host of things to do. We shouldn't be focusing our energy on prohibiting law-abiding Americans from playing a national pastime, poker, on the internet.
How confident are you that the bill will pass, that your bill will pass?
It's difficult to pass any bill in the United States Congress. What I'm hopeful about is the more Americans learn that Congress has done this absurd thing prohibiting the playing of poker on the internet, that Americans from all political stripes, conservative Republicans, liberal Democrats, and everyone in between, from Washington State to Florida, from Maine to California and Hawaii and Alaska, people all across the country who enjoy poker and respect their privacy rights will call up their member of Congress, will write their member of Congress, will engage politically, and tell the Congress, stop prohibiting the playing of poker on the internet by consenting adults, and do something more important.
A big question. Do you play poker?
I've played poker casually as as most people have, but I'm by no means a skilled player. But I know the difference between a good poker player and one who isn't, and I also respect both the skill of those who play poker very well, but more importantly, I respect the fact that Americans have the right to play poker wherever adults they want to and whatever form they wish.
Do you ever play poker with your fellow congressmen?
I have not, but I play poker with my son and my daughter, and I'm happy to do it. In my family, after holiday meals at times, we used to. I had an aunt, an aunt that would roll out a crap table, and that's how I basically learned my multiplication tables, was figuring out the odds, because you know to pay off on the 6 or the 8 or the 9 or the 10, it's not so easy to figure out the 5 to 3 or 3 to 2, whatever the odds were. That's how I learned my multiplication tables. So I love playing cards, but and that's a choice though that each American has the right to make. They can play, they can not play. They should be able to gamble if they wish, not gamble. And if they want to play on the internet, let them play on the internet. It's as simple as that.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, because in the poker community, what we really need is congressmen and people who can help make the changes show up and articulate what you're saying is, it's a game of skill. It's the freedom to play. So we really appreciate that, and thank you very much
My pleasure.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.